Hey everybody, how's it going? This is the Scrapper Tap podcast, and today I'm going to be breaking down Fight Night Brunson versus Shahbazyan. Oh man, that's going to be a fun one. I like this Edmund Shahbazyan a lot, but he has a tough task ahead of him with Derek Brunson. The overall card is a pretty good one, man. I like it all the way from top to bottom. There's going to be some fun fights, some really good scraps in here. But first, before I do my breakdowns and my predictions, I'm going to go do a quick recap over UFC Fight Night 174, Whitaker versus Till. So I actually did pretty good, man. I was 11 for 15, so I had 11 correct and 4 wrong. But I was wrong on the main event, man. I was on a 7-fight main event correct, picks. I was on a good little run, and this one threw me off. But it was a good fight, man. I knew Robert Whitaker had what it took, and he came out there and he showed us why he was the champion for so long, man. And maybe another fight or so. I think he'll get that shot at the winner of Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya. So we'll see about that one, man. There's a couple other good fights, Khamzat Chimaev looked great against Reese. He did exactly what everybody expected. He's a good prospect. Work him correctly, man. Don't throw him straight to top. Like I hear people saying he's ready for the title or top 5, even 10 opponents. Okay, I'll give him a top 15. Give him somewhere around 12, 13, maybe 15, man. Maybe even just broke the top 20. Let him work his way into it, man. He's only 2 fights into the UFC, and once he faced someone that can wrestle, man, I know he's a mauler, but work him slow because this guy really has that potential. So he looked great. Besides that, man, Tom Aspinall looked good on his debut. Tanner Boser looked great. 2 wins during this quarantine times. Man, he's looking good for Canada. That's a really good prospect out of Canada. And all in all, man, they were fun fights. Carla Esparza beat Marina. I did not think that was going to go down. I thought Marina was going to be able to do her thing. And another big loss for Alexander Gustafsson, man. I really thought he was going to be able to keep Fabricio up and keep it standing and outbox him because I think he is the better stand-up guy. But, man, Fabricio took him into his world, and we can't sleep on Verdun, man. That's why he's one of the greatest heavyweight jiu-jitsu practitioners in the damn game. He's good. And then Shogun Rua beat Nogueira, and that's the 3rd time they fought. 3 wins for Shogun. I think they are... I think they're done with that one, but I think it's going to be Shogun's last fight. I believe he was retiring, and possibly Nogueira. But either way, man, great career for Rua if he's ending it. And, we had a good night of fights this last Saturday, and now we're moving on to UFC Fight Night Brunson versus Shahbazyan, however you want to pronounce it, man. I'm going to start with the prelims. I'm going to fire through and then break down that main card. So the first one we got the minus 320 Chris Gutierrez versus Cody Durden. So Durden, I believe he's making his UFC debut against Chris Gutierrez. Yes, he is. Chris Gutierrez actually I didn't think he was going to be such a big favorite, but I really don't know too much about that Cody Durden. I don't know too much about him. Did a little research. He looked okay, not bad. But I like the potential in Chris Gutierrez. And let's see. So he's been fighting for a minute. We're going to check out his record really quick. I believe he is coming off a good win. Yeah, KO win over Vince Morales, man. This kid comes to bang. He has a decision win over Freitas Jr., and then he beat Ryan McDonald. So he is 3-0 in the UFC, looking pretty good. Not especially his time out, man. I think he's just going to keep progressing. He's young. I believe he's 29, right? Yeah, 29. They're both 29 years old. He's actually doesn't have quite the reach of Durden, but I think Chris Gutierrez is going to be able to get in there, box him up, do his thing, use those leg kicks. Is that how he stopped this last fight? Either way, man, I think he's going to get it done. So I'm taking Chris Gutierrez, but I'm going to do it by decision. I don't know if he will get another KO or TKO, but I'm going to lean to decision for Chris Gutierrez. All right. After that, we got the plus 165 Jamal Emmers versus the minus 195 Timur Believe, I believe, is making his debut as well. So let's go over him real quick. Yeah, they call him Lucky. And they actually have him favorite, the minus 195, man. And I did my research. He looked like a good grappler, a wrestler, man. And yeah, I looked at some of his fights on Tapology, and, he looks like he's taking on pretty good, solid opponents, 16-2. So he's been fighting, man. He's just making his UFC debut, and it's against Jamal Emmers. I like him. They call him Pretty Boy. He only fought once in the UFC, and it was against Giga and Chikese. And he lost a decision, but he didn't look bad, man. And I think he's just going to keep growing with each fight. So, like I said, I did my research on Believe, but I don't know too much about him. But I think I like Jamal Emmers more, man. I think he's going to be able to he's going to keep this fight up and get it done. So right off the bat, man. I'm going to take my first underdog, good size underdog, the plus 165 Jamal Emmers to get it done. And I'm going to go with decision. I think decision. I think he's just going to be able to pick him apart. I could be totally wrong on this. Like I said, I don't know too much about Believe. He's making his debut, but I like what I see in Emmers, and I think he still is young and has a chance to keep improving. So, man, the next one we got the plus 180, Eric Spicely versus Marcus Pettis, the minus 220. So, all right. So I like Marcus Pettis in this one. I think he's coming off a loss that I think he should have won. Yeah, I think it was the decision to Herman. I think Marcus Pettis actually won that fight. And before that, he submitted Anthony Hernandez, which he puts on tough fights, man. So I remember that one. That was a fun little brawl while it lasted. Yeah, so I think he should be 2-0 in the UFC and looking like a pretty solid prospect for this middleweight division. But I don't know about Rowd, but he didn't get the nod on his last fight. And then we go to Eric Spicely. So his last fight was over Duran win. And man, he's a short little wrestler, but he's stout, man. He's pretty solid. So, going to decision with him, I see what happened. And then before that, Darren Stewart knocked him out in 2018. So, and then it seems like the last couple years he's only been fighting once, so he's not as not too active. I like that Marcus Pettis is a little more active. Spicely also been KO'd by Meerschaert, which is he's on this card and he's actually a pretty tough opponent, and then submitted to by Carlos Jr. Antonio Carlos Jr. Man, Spicely, I just don't think he's going to have enough to get it done. I think Marcus Pettis is going to come in there and show his his pride, and he's a tough warrior, and I think he's gonna get it done, man. I think he's gonna get it done standing up. I think there's gonna be some fun exchanges in this one, but I think Marcus Pettis is just gonna be a little too much for Eric Spicely. So I'm gonna take the favorite, Marcus Pettis, to get it done, and I'm leaning towards this decision, but I'm gonna rock with the TKO. I have a feeling they're gonna be banging in there, and someone's gonna land one. And I'm thinking it's going to be Marcus Pettis. All right, so next one. This is one of my favorite ones off the prelims. It's a good one. We got Ray Borg, the minus 215 versus the plus 185 Nate Maines. Yeah, Maines, which is 11-1. He's 29 years old. He's actually a little older than Borg, but Borg has that experience, especially that UFC experience. Nate Maines is making his debut. He looks to be a pretty good fighter, tough fighter. I think he likes to use his boxing. He's going to stand up, I think, with Ray Borg. And, man, we saw Ray Borg look really good against Simon. Even though he didn't pull off the win, he looked good standing up with him. And I think they're going to stand up bang, and Ray Borg's going to show that he's been improving. I think he's going to show that he's been improving with each fight, especially those hands. If this goes to the ground, excuse me, I think this is all Ricky Simon. I'm sorry, I think this is all Ray Borg. I think Ray Borg can take him down all night. So I think that's what's actually going to happen. I think he's going to take Nate down quite a few times, do a little bit of ground and pound. Sorry about that, having a coughing attack out here. He's going to take him down a few times, give him ground and pound. Nate's going to be working to stand up, and Ray Borg's going to catch him. I'm going to take Ray Borg to get it done. TKO or submission. He might actually, rattle him and then submit him. But I'm going to go with Ray Borg, TKO over Nate Maines. Next one, we got another one. Some big boys. They're going to be swinging. We got the plus 160. 160. My bad. 160. Ed Herman. We got him taking on Gerald Meerschaert, the minus 180 favorite. So Ed Herman's coming in as an underdog. Man, that's always a fun underdog to kind of bet on, right? He comes out swinging. He has the puncher's chance, but I'm liking Gerald Meerschaert. He just fought recently. He was TKO'd, I believe, knocked out. Didn't look too great over Ian Heinisch. But before that, he was on a little run. He submitted Durden win. He had a win over Trevin, Giles. He's fought great opponents like Eric Anders and Kevin Holland. I like Meerschaert, and I thought this last fight he was going to win. I actually took him to get it done over Ian Heinisch. I saw his training camp and the team he's been working with. I just like him, and I think he's been getting it done. And I think he's going to stay sharp. And I heard something that he's still on weight from his last fight because he is a big dude and he has a good weight cut for this light heavyweight division. And I heard he stayed in that shape. So hopefully that doesn't affect him too much, because that could. I don't know how, holding on 2 weeks worth of holding that weight off affects somebody. But hopefully that actually keeps him in the zone. The only thing is he did just get knocked out, TKO'd. It wasn't like the most brutal knockout. Like I said, he didn't go out. He didn't go to sleep. So it was a TKO. But, man, coming back a couple weeks later, hopefully he's ready to go. And then we got Ed Herman, man. So last time he fought was since 2019. He's been out since November, so that's almost a year off. And before that, he did get the decision win over Ibragimov, and then he knocked out Patrick Cummins before that. So, man, if you're thinking Ed Herman is washed up, he's too old because he is 39 years old. 7 years older than Gerald Meerschaert. If you think he's washed up and done, you're wrong, man. He's still competing, but it has been a year. That year going into 30, almost 39, almost 40 years old. I think that's really going to take a toll. And Meerschaert's prepared, as long as he doesn't get clipped with a big shot, which he definitely can, man. So I'll definitely be having Ed Herman on a couple DraftKings cards and stuff like that. Not a bad dog, but I'm taking Gerald Meerschaert to get it done. I think he's going to have a lot of ground and pound and have his way with Ed Herman. Next, we got Frankie Saenz versus Jonathan Martinez. So, man, I like Jonathan Martinez is a 195 favorite. And then the plus 165 is Frankie Saenz, right? I'm going to just tell you, I like Jonathan Martinez. I think he's going to come in there, get it done, standing up. Was he the one that got it done with the leg kicks last time? I believe so. Could be wrong. No, he lost a decision. I think he should have won. I think I was confusing him with Marcus Pettis' fights. But yeah, so he had a decision loss to Andre Ill. Yeah, so okay. But Frankie Saenz, man, he's 39 years old, almost 40 years old, and he's been fighting in the UFC since 2014. His last fight was in 2019 against Marlon Vera, KO'd. He beat Henry Briones, beat Marab. That's a big win. I don't know. I just don't think he's going to get it done. He lost to Eddie Wineland. I think when he gets the certain opponents that can outstrike him a little quicker than him, which definitely I think Jonathan Martinez is going to be quicker than him. I don't think he's going to be able to hang. So I'm going to take Jonathan Martinez, and I think it's going to happen early. First or second round TKO by Jonathan Martinez. And then we're into the main card, man, and this one's a fun one. I like this kid a lot. I was talking about him. He was supposed to have his second fight during these quarantines already, but something happened. I think he had like an injury. I don't recall the exact injury, but we got the minus 200 Kevin Holland versus Trevin Giles, the plus 175. This can definitely be a fight of the night type of deal. They're both 27 years old. Kevin Holland's looked sharp his last fight out. He KO'd Anthony Hernandez early in the first round. Before that, he lost and got submitted by Brendan Allen, but Brendan Allen is not a slouch. He's making his run and looking good. I like this Kevin Holland. I think he's progressing each fight. And Trevin Giles, I think he's been pretty good. He's 12-2. He lost to James Krause. Oh, I'm sorry. He beat James Krause, but before that, he lost. Yeah, he got submitted by Zach Cummings, and then he was submitted by Gerald Meerschaert. So man, he seems to get submitted quite a bit. He lost his first 2 fights in the UFC and then had a bounce back, a decision over James Krause. But man, Kevin Holland, I think, is a couple steps ahead of him, and I think he's just going to outwork. Trevin Giles might try to take him down and turn it into his world, but I don't think Kevin Holland's going to let that happen. I think he's going to catch him with some knees to the body and get it done. I'm going to take an early first-round KO by Kevin Holland, and I'm looking highly at this kid. I think if he keeps string a couple more wins together, we're really going to be looking at him as a contender in the middleweight division, if that's where he stays, because I know he's been bouncing around a little bit during the quarantine. All right. The next one, we got another fun one. We got Lando Vannata versus Bobby Green. Lando Vannata's coming in as the -145 favorite. Bobby Green, the +125. So this is, they fought before and it was a draw their first time. So this is the only one I did not underline because I have not quite picked. I'm going to pick here with y'all as I'm describing these fighters. So we got Bobby Green, 25-10 with one draw, man. He's definitely had a lot of wars, a lot of really good fights with some big opponents. I believe he fought Dustin Poirier back in the day. He fought Clay Guida last, and but he didn't. He won the decision clearly, but I thought he should have finished. Before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak, but it was to Ronaldo and Drakkar Close. Okay, but yeah, like I said, he's had some great wars with people like Dustin Poirier, which he lost in the first round. So I don't know how much of a war it was, but that's learning experience because he was only in the fighting for a couple years before that. And, he lost to Barboza and Josh Thompson. Oh, and he beat Josh Thompson by decision. So he's been in there with champions, some of the best, really tough fighters. But then we have Lando Vannata, which, he's 28 years old. He's actually 5 years younger than Bobby Green. And he actually found his way the last couple fights. He's been a 50-50 fighter for the most part in his UFC career. I think both these fighters actually are coming off I think they win one, lose one, win one, lose one. I don't think they have had strung two in a row in a while. So before this, Lando's last fight, he beat Yancy Menderos, and then he lost a decision to Drakkar Close, and then he beat Moreno, and then in 2018 it was a draw, but before that he lost to Drakkar Close. So it's off and on, but I think he's going to string it together. He's 28. He's a bit younger. I think he's still been learning. Bobby Green, I think he's probably already at his he hit his peak. I like him. He looked good. I liked what he had to say after. I liked his attitude and everything with his trainer slash I believe it's he took him in. His trainer took him in. I liked the whole vibe. I liked Bobby Green, but man, something's telling me go with Lando Vannata. I think he's going to be a little bit too strong for Bobby Green. So I'm going to take Lando Vannata to get it done. Let's go with a TKO. Let's go late because Bobby Green's tough. Third round. All right, then we got, oh man, this one could be definitely fight of the night. This one's a good one. Possibly could be a co-main event, but it is what it is. We got Vicente Luque, the -190 versus Randy Brown, the +165. So right off the bat, man, I was leaning. I thought Randy Brown was going to come in maybe a little quicker, be able to pick apart kind of just with speed, not really knock out, and maybe find a submission or something. But man, I don't know. Luque is a stud. He's a beast. Let's not forget the wars he's been in. So Randy Brown, he last submitted Alves, and then he KO'd Brian Barberena. So he's on a 2-fight winning streak, and it's looking good because before that he was KO'd by Nico Price. But Randy Brown, he's looking tough, looking good. He's still, I think he's actually older than Luque, but he's still young. I think 30 years old. So he's 30 years old. Vicente Luque is 28. Pretty crazy because if you think about the wars Vicente Luque has been in, it's what? You're only 28 years old. You feel like you're a 32, 34-year-old fighter, because I think about the fights he's been in. It's pretty crazy. His last fight was against Nico Price. Knocked him out. Stephen Thompson, he lost by decision, beat Mike Perry. But a decision I thought actually went to Perry, but he won that one. And then before that, he KO'd Derek Krantz. And then, he KO'd Jalen Turner, which actually is a pretty similar fight to Randy Brown. Like Turner's, long, and he has similar striking to Randy Brown. So, he KO'd him. That's something to look out. Man, this guy's just been fighting since 2015 in the UFC and bringing it, man, with submissions and KOs. He's a tough dude. I'm liking Vicente Luque here. I'm going to take Randy Brown on a couple DraftKings cards because I really think he does have a chance to get it done. I think he's going to make it a little bit closer than the odds, but I'm taking Vicente Luque by, probably decision, but I could see him getting that KO in the second round. All right, next we got the -180 Joanne Calderwood versus Jennifer Maia, the +155. So Joanne Calderwood could actually be sitting out right now and waiting for a title fight. She's deserved that. She's been on a good little run. She's already 34 years old, so that window, I'm not going to say it's closing by any means, but, it's not a bad idea to sit and wait for that flyweight title. She had a decision win, a clear win, in my opinion, over Andrea Lee. And then she lost to Caitlin Chukagian. But Caitlin Chukagian, man, she's tough. She's been at the top of the heap for a minute. And then before that, she beat Ariane Lipsky, which we just saw. Ariane's turning into a pretty strong fighter, man. She just had that good submission. So yeah, man, I'm liking Calderwood, and Maia, she has less fights, way less experience, but she's tough, man, and she's been in there with some pretty good fighters, Mata Ferry, which, in the beginning she didn't look so good, but she's gotten better, has some good wins over some opponents, so that's not too bad, but she's also lost to Caitlin Chukagian, so they both have no MMA math there, and then she had a decision win over Alexis Davis. I just don't think Jennifer Maia is going to have enough for Calderwood. I think Calderwood's going to keep it up and bang with her, maybe have some ground and pound, but I think she's going to get it done, probably by decision. So I'm going to take Joanne Calderwood by decision over Jennifer Maia. All right. Then we're here. We're at the main event, man. We got Derek Brunson, the +240 underdog versus Edmund Shahbazyan, -300 favorite, and that is one of my dark horses. I like this kid Edmund. He's only 22 years old, but he's a stud. He really is a stud. You just heard, maybe y'all heard that interview with Dana White or that little talk they had with Ronda Rousey. He trained and he was able to hang with big dudes. I think she said light heavyweight or heavyweight fighters that he would put on great spars against them, and she's one of the best that she's ever seen. Training, and he started training with her when he was 15. His last fight, he's coming off a KO over Brad Tavares, a submission over Jack Marshman, a KO over Charles Byrd. So those are his 3 fights in the UFC, and this guy's a finisher. All 3 have been finished, and I can see that going on. This kid's 11-0, and I know the UFC likes him, so let's see if he can keep it going. He's my dark horse. It would be silly for me not to take him, but we got Derek Brunson, the 36-year-old, going against the 22-year-old, and this guy has so much experience. He's been fighting since 2012 in the UFC. And his last fight was a win over Ian Heinisch by decision. Theodoro by decision, which, understandable because Theodoro likes to move, run around a lot. But after that, he fought with the champ, got KO'd by Israel Adesanya, I believe, before he was champ, and then he was KO'd by Souza. So he's only losing to the top of the heap, some of the greatest fighters out there. He KO'd Lyoto Machida. Come on, man. We can't sleep on Derek Brunson. This is such a live dog with dogs in his hands. He's ready. I think he's ready to step in with anybody and has a shot to beat anybody in that division. He's that type of fighter. But I don't know, man. I think this kid, Edmund's actually the real deal. I really do. I think he's a little longer. No, of course not, right? Okay, so he's an inch taller than him, but the reach actually goes to Brunson by 3 inches. So, but I think he's going to be able to use his, his striking. I think he's going to be able to get in there. I don't think that reach is going to be an issue. I think he's actually had pretty positive. I think he's done really good against guys that actually have had the reach over them. I'm going to double check that right now. Because I think Byrd should have had a longer reach than him. Charles Byrd's a really long dude. Like I said, those long fighters, they got that advantage. All right. Yeah, I can't see it, but I think he's had fights with guys with much larger reach than him. Someone's at my front door. We're going to ignore that. But I'm definitely taking Edmund Shahbazyan. I like this kid. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to, I want to say submission. I think he's going to stun him and then submit him. I'm going to take Edmund Shahbazyan to get the submission. And I think, man, after this, just a couple more wins, I think we're really going to be seeing this kid fighting the top opponents. And I think he's going to look good. So I'm taking Edmund Shahbazyan to get it done. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is the Scrapper Tap podcast. I hope y'all enjoy these fights.